Okay, I've got roses here to soften the blow because this is actually going to be probably really hard to hear. Everything that you've heard about the self-love and self-confidence movement is total bullshit. Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. If you are tuning in for the very first time, you've obviously pressed on this video for a reason. There might be something that's happening in your life that feels outside of your control, something that has led your confidence or your sense of identity or your self-worth to take a hit. If you are tuning back in or you're an existing listener, welcome back guys. I know that you will probably know little bits and pieces about why I might be talking about this. And you will also probably know that this style of video is very different to what I normally post, but we're gonna talk about this today, but we're doing it without the fluff. This is gonna be the harsh truth. I'll be honest, I actually don't care if you feel understood. I want you to leave this video feeling empowered. I want you to have a fire in your belly to keep going and to show up for yourself in a way that is actually going to contribute to your self-love and your self-worth. Listen with an open mind. I want you to know that this is all said with so much love, even if it sounds super hard. So when it comes to breakdowns and breakthroughs, 2025 has been such a huge year for so many people. I feel like every single person that I've spoken to has gone like, 2025 has been life-changing in some really beautiful ways and some really intense and unfortunate ways. For me, I lost my sister to suicide 5 months ago, and that happened 2 weeks before I turned pro in my first ever competition prep. I have had my fair share of breakdowns. I have had my fair share of hitting rock bottom, and I'm by no means finished. I know that I will continue to have breakdowns as grief and life is not linear, and I will continue to question my own sanity. I'll continue to question my own self-worth. I'll continue to have all of these human feelings and emotions that come with life's ups and downs. But I want to share some things with you guys that I've realized through my journey so far. I really want to talk about how self-love and self-worth and self-confidence ties into this, and why I see so many people struggling. We are tying our sense of identity and self-worth to things that are so much outside of us. When life throws us curveballs and it's outside of our control, then everything that we have gained our sense of self-confidence and identity and self-love from can sometimes feel like it's shaken up and stripped away. So what's happened in your life might not be your fault, right? There are so many circumstances that happen outside of our control. And as human beings, we do love to have control over things, and the things that we might not have control over, our brain will love to play tricks on us. With losing my sister, for example, suicide is one of those things that leaves anyone close to them questioning what they could have done differently. I'm never gonna know if my sister would still be alive, if I had have shown up differently. As much as the brain will like to make sense of some things, you've got to be brave enough to accept this is how things are, and you cannot change it. No matter how much I cry, no matter how much I question, no matter how much I do rings in my head around what I could have done differently, it's not gonna bring my sister back. The circumstance that you found yourself in that has led you to maybe question yourself, that may not be in your control, but you need to accept that this is the reality and this is what is happening in your life. And just because it is not your fault does not mean that it is not your responsibility in how you move forward in this. Stop denying or trying to find ways to make sense of something that, let's be honest, it doesn't matter whether you make sense of it or not. It's not going to change the reality. It's a tough pill to swallow. I understand. The minute that you stop questioning how it could have been different and you accept that this is the reality, you're operating then from a place of empowerment. Just because you feel empowered doesn't mean that it's not going to hurt. And that's something that I think people get wrong, is they think that self-love and self-confidence, it's all like we all walk around under the sunshine and rainbows and butterflies. No, self-love looks like showing up when it sucks too. You can preach self-love and mirror affirmations as much as you want, but without actually taking accountability for what's happening in your life and what's happening in your mind, you're literally just metaphorically jacking yourself off to the thought of how hard life is. You're not helping yourself. Just because something's happened outside of your control does not mean that you then throw your hands up and surrender. What you do now, moving forwards, is your responsibility. Which leads me to my next point. I'm going to tell you something totally different from other people. I'm going to tell you to have the mental breakdown. Stop suppressing and rejecting. And in order to actually move past something, you have to move through it. The only way to move through it is to, first of all, accept that it's happening. And second of all, stop rejecting, stop suppressing. I know it's scary. And when really traumatic things happen, your brain is an incredibly smart kind of organ in your body that will sometimes make you numb. I know that for me, coming to terms with losing my sister, I was totally numb. And at points, I still feel really numb. I can talk about it now, 5 months later, but a part of me still feels kind of detached. When I feel it super intensely, but this feeling of like part detachment or a little bit numb is actually part of the process too. That is your body's way of processing safely. But it's not healthy to be numb and suppress it. You do need to feel things in order to move through it. Have a mental breakdown. If it takes you crying in the shower for 3 hours in order to see things with more clarity and move through things, then do that. In a weird way, that will actually grow your self-confidence because it is self-trust. When you break down, you are saying that you trust yourself enough to fall apart and pick yourself back up. Every single time that you feel a hard emotion and you shut it down and you say like, not right now, not right now, what are you telling yourself? You're literally saying, I don't trust myself to feel these feelings. I don't trust myself and I'm not honoring myself enough to feel the hard emotions. Of course you're not gonna feel confident in yourself and not gonna love yourself when you're consistently shutting yourself down. Can you imagine a child, right? Imagine a child saying to you like, I feel sad, and you telling them, no, like not right now, not right now. If the child feels sad, you need to nurture that, you need to honor that, you need to give that sadness the airtime to be felt and then moved through. Rejecting and suppressing is not an act of love. That's not an act of self-respect, and it's not an act of self-trust. It's an act of like fear, anxiety. Feel the hard feelings. Honestly, I feel like every single time I've had a major breakdown, it has directly led me towards a door that has correlated to a major breakthrough. It's brought some sense of clarity to the situation, even if it's just 1% that carries me through until maybe the next mental breakdown that I have, and then maybe you bounce back a little bit faster. Have the mental breakdown. Stop suppressing things. In order to move past things, you have to just move through it. And don't get me wrong, I know that it's scary. I understand. Still, oftentimes now, I will reject my feelings. I'll be like, oh no, I can't, like I'm busy. You will have every single excuse under the sun as to why now is not the right time to feel your feelings. Act as if yourself is another human being who you love. Make a promise to yourself. You'll allow those feelings to come up and be expressed if you need to express it. That will grow your sense of self-love. But it's devotion and it is caring for yourself and nourishing yourself. Which leads me to stop putting off doing the hard thing. Stop waiting to feel ready in order to take the plunge. Stop waiting to feel ready before you take a step. The thing that people get wrong is they think that they need confidence in order to take action. Confidence is a byproduct of you taking the action. If you wait around for confidence to arrive or self-love to arrive or motivation to arrive and you're just sitting there waiting before you take the action, you will be sitting forever and you will not get closer to yourself. You will only get further away and you'll feel more self-doubt, more anxiety, you'll feel more self-deprecation, and you'll likely find more excuses as to why you can't make change or why you can't take the plunge. Do it scared. Being scared is not going to kill you. You can get through things. You've gotten through 100% of the tough days in your life so far. Does that not stand for anything? Stop waiting for the perfect moment to arrive. Stop waiting to feel ready. You're never gonna feel 100% ready. So you need to take the step. Do it now, do it messily, and don't use perfectionism as an excuse not to take action. Because you know what? Perfectionism does not breed confidence. No one successful ever said, I'm so glad that I waited until I could do everything perfectly before I took the step. No one ever said that, because there is no perfect. It's excuses for you not to take action. Stop waiting for everything to be perfect. Stop waiting for the journey to be perfectly packaged and laid out for you. Life doesn't work like that. You have to take action in order to feel confident. And sometimes you just learn through experience. You're not going to have the perfect plan set out for you in order to go and do things in life. And that also breeds self-trust and self-love and self-respect, because when you step into something where you're like, I actually have no idea what I'm doing, but I'm trusting myself to do it messy. I'm trusting myself to work it out as I go. And I love myself enough to pick myself back up if things turn to crap. I love myself enough to not beat myself up about it and to keep going. And the only way that you're going to build that self-respect is actually by doing the hard action. Do it now. Oh, guys, I'm getting sweaty up in here. My last point that I want to talk about is that self-love needs devotion. Self-love is self-respect, not self-deprecation. Doing a beautiful skincare routine might make you feel nice in the moment, but you also have to do the hard stuff. You can't just run with the fluff. I say this because I've done this. I thought that writing affirmations on sticky notes and putting them on my mirror, speaking nice words to myself every day was going to change my life. It does a tiny bit for my mentality, but when shit hits the fan, affirmations on the mirror is not going to do it. It actually takes doing the hard things, feeling the hard emotions, getting up out of bed when you really don't feel like it, leaning on someone for support when you're terrified of doing that. Sometimes it takes things that are out of your comfort zone. Sometimes it takes doing something that you've never done before. When you've been through experiences that you've never experienced, you can't expect perfectionism from yourself. You can't expect to know what to do. You've never been through this before. And even if you have been through something similar, you're probably not experiencing the exact same thing as what you did previously. You can simultaneously give yourself grace and be kind to yourself while also showing up for yourself and doing something that sucks. I cannot tell you the amount of times throughout this past 5 months that I've had a mental breakdown and I've fallen into that self-deprecative pattern where I'm like, I don't know when it's going to get better. It's self-pity and it feels good. Actually, sometimes when you feel that low, it actually feels good to keep yourself in that cycle. In that way, the hard thing is, and the self-loving act is, to pull yourself out of that spiral. Weird to say that, like I do want to feel better, but there's no motivation to actually pull myself out of that spiral. It feels better to keep telling myself that I can't do anything to change things, that I don't know what to do, that I feel sad, all of that stuff, and it changes nothing. Sometimes you need to spiral in order to feel the clarity, but there's a difference between feeling emotions and allowing those things to come up and just self-deprecation and allowing yourself to spiral and like digging yourself deeper and deeper and deeper. That is not a self-loving act. Yes, fall apart if you need to fall apart. Yes, have the mental breakdown. Like I said, that is an act of self-trust. But then there's a point you need to get back up. Like, don't get me wrong, these small 1% of things like the affirmations on the mirror, the journaling, small things like that, they might make that 1% difference. And I'm not saying to stop doing those things. If that works for you, great. But you can't do those things and then ignore the really hard stuff. Self-love is also showing up for yourself in hard times and doing the hard things. The building blocks of self-love, self-respect, self-empowerment, all of those things are actually really tough times. It's in the way that you show up for yourself in those hard times. It's in the way that you navigate those tough times. And so with all of this said, I know that I've been very like, and I'm probably very much exposing myself on here in terms of what I've been moving through at the moment and how I'm communicating. But I say this again from a place of love. And I want you to know that breakdowns don't mean that you've failed. It doesn't mean that you're weak. Breakdowns mean that you're human. And no matter how low the lows get, know that a breakdown carries the seed of a breakthrough. What can these hard times teach you about yourself? What can you do differently? Where can you assess your habits, your routines, the actions, the relationships, your past behaviors that have contributed to this moment? Take accountability. There's a difference between taking accountability and being proactive and taking accountability and just like self-flagellation. Choose accountability and be proactive. It does take so much bravery to face the truth and to face the reality of some really tough times. I also want to say that self-love and self-confidence are not destinations that you like at one point in your life get to. Like everything in life, it is a work in progress and it is not linear. And I want you to know that you are so capable of rebuilding, but you have to show yourself through action. The only way that that's going to happen is through making the choice, doing the hard thing. It's not through listening to me on YouTube. When you finish listening to this video, I don't want you to go back to doing things the same. Show up differently. How can you think different? Reflect on what you've been running from and start to face it. And let me tell you, you're gonna have multiple breakdowns in your life. This is not the end. I hope that what you're going through right now is the worst of what happens in your life, but I can't promise that it's going to be. It's more realistic to say that you're gonna face more hardship in your life, actually. So get familiar with this feeling and get good at rebuilding. If this video resonated with you, comment something down below, or maybe share it with someone who might need it too. I wanna encourage you to do a scary thing today, and I'd love you to share in the comments what it is. Maybe we can keep each other accountable. If you can do something to make another person smile today, you have done your little piece of impact in making the world a better place. Thank you guys for hearing me. I will see you in the next video.